Once upon a time, in a rural mountainside part in Japan, there lived an old married couple. The husband's name was Honest Shaobei, the wife was Honest Onao. They were merciful and straight with others, so people called them as Honest Jiji and Honest Baba. Jiji means grandpa, Baba grandma in Japanese. They had a dog named Fuku. Fuku means happiness in Japanese. They loved the dog deeply, and Fuku became their friend and obeyed them. Shoji-kijiji said, "Fuku, come here. Fuku, come here. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Today let us give him something good to eat." Fuku, bow wow bow wow. Next to the house, a man named Kensuke lived. His wife's name was Ibarari. Vara means a thorn in Japanese. They were both so greedy that always conspired against others. So people called them as Kenden Jiji and Kenden Baba. All people in the village disliked them. Kenden means greedy and evil. Kenden Jiji said, "My darling, let us cook soup of leg of a wild boar. It's better than vinegar dish of seabreamin miso." Miso is traditional Japanese food made from soybeans. Kenden Baba replies, "I'm planning to choke a fowl and boil it to eat. But wild boar is also good." Honest Jiji and Fuku went to the mountain as usual. Fuku whined at the ground near bottom of an pine tree. He told his master to dig there. So Jiji dug the ground. There came out gold and silver shako, agate coral, and emerald so on. The great amount of treasure were in the hole. In Japan and Asian countries, shako is made of shell of great clam. Jiji and Baba carried the treasure to their house. Honest Jiji said, "Fuku gave us these great treasure. Thank you, Fuku. Thank you, Fuku. Thanks God. Thanks God. God of heaven gave us treasure." Honest Jiji said, Fortunately we got treasure. We will give reward to Fuku. Even if we have such great treasure, we must live simple and so honest as ever." Kenden Jiji envied Honest Jiji's treasures. He wanted to dig treasure as Honest Jiji did, so went to Honest Jiji's house to borrow Fuku. Then with Fuku, Kenden Jiji came back his home. Anyway, those who are selfish are apt to envy neighbors' happiness and richness. In the deep in heart, a human has such feelings as Kenden Jiji. Do not think only Kenden Jiji does. Honest Jiji and Honest Baba were reluctant to lend Fuku to Kenden Jiji, because they loved the dog deeply. But they were so good in heart as not hoping any troubles with their neighbor, so they lent Fuku to Kenden Jiji. Honest Jiji said, "In spite of our important dog, we lend him to you. Be careful to treat him." Honest Baba said, "Please send him back as soon as you can. Without him we both do not feel safe." Honest couple said, "He seems to not want to go." Fuku's tail drooped, and he did not walk only one step. But Kenden Jiji was dragging him forcefully to his house. Kenden Jiji said, "Honest Jiji, you are not so greedy that took a small amount of treasure back. I will great amount of treasure. My darling, please wait me bringing back treasure." Kendan Baba replied, "My darling, I'm waiting for your return with treasure." As Huku told, Kendan-Jiji dug the ground near the bottom of an pine tree. There came snakes, centipedes, and something like lizards, and every kinds of ugly living creatures. There was no treasure in the hole. Then Kendan-Jiji got angry with Huku, so had beaten heavily Huku to death by his hoe, and buried Huku's body under the pine tree. Kendan-Jiji said, "You hateful dog. I will beat you to death." Honest Jiji and honest Baba were looking forward the return of Huku. Only Kendan-Jiji came back to the house and told about the incident he had brought. Kendan-Jiji said, "So hasteful animal is your dog, I has killed it and buried under a pine tree. You give up him for lost." Honest couple grieved and mourned for Huku's death. "Why Huku met such a violent death, alas, alas, why you beated him to death so merciless to our Huku." Looking from behind the Fusuma, Kendan Baba whispered, "It serves to you. It serves to you." Fusuma is a kind of door made of woods and papers peculiar to Japan. You can see beautiful pictures on it in Japanese temples. One night, Huku was standing near the pillows of honest couple, and said to them, "I'm very thankful for your kindness. I will guard you forever. Please feel easy as ever. Cut down the pine tree, where I was buried, and make an usu from the trunk of it." In old time we usually spread futon on a mattress made of cotton directly on the floor. Japanese usu is a kind of a mortar. The picture of it is on the next page. Whence honest Jiji woke up from a dream, he got woodcutters to cut down the pine tree, and had made a big usu. Honest Jiji said, "We shall use remainder as firewood. If we sell this usu, we get much money. But it is a memory of Fuku, we cannot sell it." Woodcutters said, "We must have Sakiyati for Anma." Yo ho! Yo ho! We are getting on very fast on our work today. Let us work harder. In Japanese, Anma means massage. To make rice cakes for a Buddhist memorial service for Huku, honest Jiji touched the usu with a wooden pestle. Suddenly gold-silver beautiful figured cloth with golden threads, and etc. precious things came out from the mortar. Honest Jiji said, "It's miraculous. Be delighted, darling." Honest Baba said, "This is what Huku had said in our dream." Kendan-Jiji and his wife kept jealous eyes on their neighbor's good fortune from a window. Kendan-Jiji said, "They has gotten so many treasure. What a repulsive wretch they are." Kendan Baba said, "They are so happy as we see. I feel deep jealousy of their happiness." This time, Kendan-Jiji was jealous of his neighbor's happiness again, and went to honest Jiji's to borrow the usu. As soon as Kendan-Jiji touched the usu with a wooden pestle, there came out many skulls, and many snakes as vipers, or hibikari etc. They coiled around Kendan-Jiji and Kendan Baba and tortured them. Snakes made sounds like wooza, wooza, sha, sha. Kendan Baba said, "What happened this? It's no use to. It's terrible, terrible. What weird they are. HANASAKASEJIJI said, I hate them. Forgive me. Forgive me. Hibikari is name of a Japanese poisonous snake more dangerous than viper. HANASAKASEJIJI got so angry that broke the mortar into pieces and burned it in a furnace. Baba said, really, it's irritating me again. You'd better to break it into pieces. HANASAKASEJIJI said, damn you. You rascal. You rat. Without knowing what had happened at HANASAKASEJIJI's house, honest Jiji came to HANASAKASEJIJI. And he said, return my usu back, if you finished making your ice cakes. HANASAKASEJIJI told him what happened before he came. Honest Jiji was surprised and sad. He said, well, give me the ashes of my usu. HANASAKASEJIJI said, these ashes are useless for me. You may bring back as much as you like. Baba said, whenever I think about the usu, it make me irritating. Honest Jiji said to himself, well, it's great loss to us. But if what my usu did to HANASAKASEJIJI made this result, it's no use crying over. I bring back just these ashes in memory of Huku. Honest Jiji came home with ashes of his usu. Jiji climbed a dead tree with basket filled with the ashes of his mortar. Standing on a bough of the tree, he cried loudly, I will make the dead tree flower. Flowering Jiji, making bloom Jiji. A samurai said, who are you on the tree? My load is now coming. Keep aside. Keep aside. Honest Jiji said, my name is making bloom Jiji. I will make the dead tree flower. If your load want to see flowers, I will make. Samurai told this to his load. The load wanted to see the flowers on the dead tree. So honest Jiji took a handful ashes in his hand from the basket, and scattered about the ashes over the dead tree. Then the dead cherry tree flowered splendidly at once. The load was delighted at his performance. So he gave Jiji red haorish brocade, and so many rewards. The load said, you are truly making bloom, Jiji. You do a good job. You do a good job. The samurai said, my load gives you a red haorish brocade. Honest Jiji replied, thank you very much. My load, haori is Japanese kimono jacket. HANASAKASEJIJI was jealous of honest Jiji, who got the red haorish brocade. He went out to get same haori as a reward, wearing clothes same as honest Jiji. HANASAKASEJIJI said, he is a disgusting fellow, who has gotten so many things. Baba said, you darling come back soon, wearing an red haorish brocade too. HANASAKASEJIJI climbed the dead tree as honest Jiji did. Then the load came across. The load said, let that flowering Jigi make the dead tree bloom. So HANASAKASEJIJI said, yes I do. He spreaded hand flashes over the tree. But the tree did not bloom at all. The ashes got into eyes of the load and his servant samurais. There was a great hubbub going on. They cried, ashes got in my eye. Ouch, ouch, the load said, you insolent fellow. You hateful fellow put ashes into our load, the load said, Do not cut the fellow, your sword is disgraced with his blood. Just beat him, a samurai said. I will beat you with back of my sword. This fellow is like a stump of big tree. You shall pay for this. I don't forgive you. I beat you. You are hasteful, Jiji, even if I crush you to death under my feet. Kendan Jiji cried, ouch, ouch, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Do not kill me. I feel so bad, so bad. They pulled down Kendan Jiji from the tree and beated him until he was almost dead. Bloody Kendan Jiji was going back to his home. Kendan Baba was waiting for his back for a long time at the doorside. Seeing him from distance, she thought that my darling comes back in red hair brocade, but as he came close to home she could recognize that his body was bloody. She was astonished and puzzled. The author of this book say, it serves you right. Kendan Jiji became more and more evilly inclined. Then he sneaked into the honest Jiji's and stole a trunk. He brought it to his house and opened it. There were no treasures in it. All kind of monsters came out from it and persecuted Kendan couple. Some monster came out from the trunk and said, Hey, Mr. Jiji, what happens to you? You need not be so frightened. Miko se Nudo said, if I look you, you shall not live more than 3 years. Shall I look you? Monster of a big woman's face logged. Kira, Ebizos Sibaraku Kite Monster said, do you know who I am? It's ridiculous. Hyudoro. Momongwa, Kendan Jiji said, Namera Sanbo. Someone has bitten me a bane. Kendan Baba said, darling, I'm terribly frightened. Please help me. Nam Ami Dabutu. Miko se Nudo is the king of monsters. His neck is long. Ebizo is a famous kabuki star. Hyudoro is imitation sounds used Japanese classical entertainments. Momongwa means hello in monsters language. Namu Ami Dabutu. Namara Sanbo or Nam Sanbo are words used by Buddhists when they ask help for Buddha. Kendan couple had become extremely evil. Finally one day they stealthily went out of the house to kill honest couple. It suddenly became cloudy over the sky, and the lightning struck Kendan couple to death. It was almost as if God of Thunder had crushed them to death. The author said, it reserves to you, Kendan Jiji. Kendan Baba said, oh, feel pain. I feel so bad. God punishes those who stealthily do evil deeds, and people persecute those who openly do bad things. Sooner or later those who do a wicked deed shall get their retribution, regardless of its gravity. It reserves to you, Kendan Jiji. Thus all people of the country know how Shojiki couple are righteous and merciful. The lord of the country thought it be very praiseworthy, so he gave them 15,000 ryu in golden koban, and 100, and 1,200,000, and 3,450 pu of rice as rewards. Kendan Jiji won honor. The servant samurai said, my lord graciously gives you these as rewards for your good deeds. Receive them with thanks. Honest Gigi said, although I have done none of meritorious deeds, thank you very much for giving so much rewards. I'm so honorable, thank you very much. One of servants said, I wish I have only one box of Coban. The author of this book also thinks so. Next page, I calculated the total value of reward Kendon Gigi got in dollar.